So, just thinking ahead to the fourth ODI between New Zealand and India, and India's already wrapped up the series, obviously 3-0 in New Zealand's backyard. And look, to be honest, I can't see the results changing. I know Virat Kohli, number one player in the world by quite some distance at the moment in ODI cricket, is not playing the final two ODIs, but I still don't think it's going to make a difference. India have simply been that much better than New Zealand so far in this series, and it would need a massive turnaround in fortunes and in skill and in execution for New Zealand to come close to what is a red hot Indian team at the moment, looking pretty good as we look ahead towards the World Cup later this year. New Zealand, they've been disappointing, to be honest. Clearly I'm a Black Caps fan, long-suffering Black Caps fan, and it was somewhat of a surprise that they've been so poor so far, given that they've been playing some really good cricket in the ODI format for a number of years now, certainly since the 2015 World Cup, and then fantastic run that they had reaching the semi-final. They've been pretty good since then, coming off an absolute drubbing of Sri Lanka at home where they scored 300 plus in all three of the ODIs there. But yeah, they really haven't stepped up against India. India have come in with very clear plans, particularly with the bowling. They've executed beautifully. Mohammad Shami and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar at the top in particular have been absolute guns for them. They've hardly put a foot wrong the whole series so far. And to be honest, New Zealand batsmen just haven't been able to cope, both from a skill perspective and also from a mental point of view. They haven't been able to grind out the required partnerships to be able to put some pressure back on India. There have been signs. I think Ross Taylor, Tom Latham have shown signs that they're capable of digging in. But the rest of them, including Kane Williamson, who's been a little bit disappointing, despite getting a few runs in the first ODI, he just really hasn't kicked on and made a difference in the series. So yeah, can't see it changing. I think it's going to be 5-0 to India. But I would like to see some performances by some of the individual Black Caps. I think the guys who are particularly under pressure, well, Colin Munro obviously at the top of the order. Would not be surprised if they make a change there, perhaps Tom Latham moving up to open. But if Munro does play, he really needs runs. He's horribly out of form, looks really muddled, still doesn't look like he knows quite how to approach an innings in ODI cricket, which is a real shame because he's been an absolute gun for New Zealand in the T20 format, probably one of the best players in the world, but just hasn't been able to transfer that into the ODI game. Martin Guptill, he got 100 against Sri Lanka, but he hasn't done a lot since, and he hasn't looked at his best either. He would want some runs. Kane Williamson would like to kick on from one of his starts. Ross Taylor's been playing well. Tom Latham's been playing well. Who else is there? Nichols, he'll want some runs because in a 14 or 15 man squad for the World Cup, he's obviously one of those guys that's kind of on the borderline. He's probably going to slot in there as a reserve batsman, or perhaps number 6 if they continue to go with that top 6. But he would certainly want runs to continue to put his name up in lights as far as the World Cup squad goes. And then the two guys who have just been brought back into the squad, namely Jimmy Neesham and Todd Astle, they'll probably slot straight into the starting 11, I would have thought, just to make a change, see what that does for the Black Caps' fortunes. Jimmy Neesham was superb against Sri Lanka, particularly batting in that lower middle order. He gave some real impetus towards the end of the innings in all 3 matches. And he'd like to continue that form. I think on that form alone, on that series against Sri Lanka, he's probably just a tick above the other all-rounders as far as selection for that World Cup squad goes. But he'd need to continue that. Obviously, Doug Bracewell's been playing pretty well. Colin de Grandhomme's been disappointing, but we know what he can do, and he's there or thereabouts. And then Mitchell Santner, another all-rounder, we know how good he can be on his day. So It's pretty congested as far as the all-rounders go for spots in that World Cup squad. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing if Jimmy Neesham can kick on. I think he's actually someone that we really need to have in that World Cup squad because, he could make a real difference both with bat and ball. He's been okay with the ball since he's been back in the setup, without being fantastic. But yeah, bowling wise, I just like us to keep it a little bit more simple. I think we've been trying a little bit too much, coming around the wicket, trying the short ball, trying the wide Yorkers. I think we need to take a leaf out of the Indians book and just stick to a good hard length on or about. On or just outside off stump, let the pitch do its thing, let the ball do its thing in the air, and just bowl some good channels. So I'd like to see that happen. And for India, look, I think they're in fantastic shape at the moment. There'll be a little bit of jostling for World Cup squads as well. There's a couple of guys who aren't even in the squad at the moment that will still be in the mix for that World Cup. The likes of KL Rahul, Rishabh Pant, I think those two in particular. So the batsmen that are there at the moment want to keep putting their name up in lights. They've all contributed at some stage. The openers have been great, Darwin and Rohit Sharma. I think they're a lock for the World Cup. Rayudu looks like he's pretty much a lock for that number 4 spot. Dhoni, don't worry, his name will be there come World Cup selection time. And then that kind of lower middle order gets a bit congested and, wondering what they're going to be thinking for the World Cup. There's Dinesh Karthik, Hardik Pandya, the all-rounder, Keeraj Yadav, the part-time off-spinning all-rounder who's actually been very useful with the ball, with his low slung action. So there's still a few things that India will certainly want to tick off, and certainly individual players will want to tick off in the remaining 2 matches of the series. But as I say, I think it's going to be 5-0 to India. They've been playing fantastic. Despite being a Black Caps fan, it has been really nice to watch a team just executing on their plans so beautifully and just not letting the foot off the throat. New Zealand really haven't been able to get any leeway in this series at all, and remain to be seen if they can. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I would love to hear yours, so feel free to comment below, and yeah, we'll speak to you soon.